Welcome to the meeting of the Darien Board of Ethics. This is Monday, the 18th of November. It is 7:42 p.m. and we are meeting on Zoom. And this is the organizational meeting of this body, the new members having just been appointed last week. Let's take a roll call voice first, please. Jim Cameron is present. John Vesey.
Present.
Beth Pope.
Present.
David Bain.
Present.
Jan Raymond.
Present.
All present and are accounted for. The first order of business, according to our agenda, is a nomination and election of officers. Let's start with the office of chair. Are there any nominations for chairman?
I nominate Jim Cameron.
I second it.
Any other nominations? Hearing none, may I have an acclamation to choose Jim Cameron as your chairman?
Yay.
All those in favor say aye.
Yes.
Yay. Aye.
Thank you very much.
That's
kind of you.
acclamation.
Thank you. Vice Chair, I believe that's you, Beth, from last term.
Yes.
Are there any nominations for Vice Chair?
I'll nominate Beth for
Okay.
second term.
Is there a second?
I second her.
I second it.
Okay.
Thank you, Jan. Any other nominations for Vice Chair? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
And we also, I believe, have a clerk or a secretary's position. And I think that was you, John, was it
Yeah.
not last time?
I can stay with it if you want.
Well, then I'll nominate
Are there-
John
Nominate John.
You nominate John. Wonderful.
before he changes his mind.
Any
Yeah, I know.
seconds for
Yeah.
John as secretary?
Second.
Second from Beth. All those in favor of John Vesey as secretary say aye.
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 Great.
Thank you.
That was very expeditious.
Okay.
Now, this is one of the rare times when the Board of Ethics meets in public.
Yep.
And I thought it would be useful for us to talk a little bit about how it is that we function. I don't want to go through the whole process, but just to edify anybody that's interested in how the Board of Ethics operates, I thought it would be useful just to go over the basics. And David, you have helped considerably in this description in the past. I think the best source of information, because quite often I get people coming, they kind of saddle up to me and go, "Are you on the Board of Ethics?" I'm not sure if this is something that should come before the Board of Ethics. And I always go, look, I'm not going to offer an opinion on your case or what you're proposing, but I'd be happy to talk about the process. So what I always try to do is to send them to the Board of Ethics page on the town website. And there you will find links to the town ordinances, the description of what the Board of Ethics does and how it operates, the forms that you need to fill out to be able to start a formal complaint. And I want to dissuade people from thinking that anything that doesn't seem right or kosher or ethical to them even falls within our purview, because those of us who have been on this board for a few years know that we get complaints and there's really nothing we can do with them because they don't meet the criteria narrowly defined as it is as to what is unethical behavior under the jurisdiction of the Board of Ethics. So the process, and Dave, jump in if I miss anything here, but the process is you go and you get that formal complaint form. You have to fill out that form, sign it with your name and date it, and you have to submit it to the town clerk's office. The town clerk then starts a file on that particular complaint, notifies the chairman, that would be me, of the nature of the complaint. I schedule a meeting. We're supposed to schedule a meeting as I believe the wording is something like as soon as possible. And that all depends on how quickly people's schedules can be arranged. And at that first meeting, we immediately go into executive session, which means we have a privileged conversation with the person who is complaining and hear their complaint verbally, supplementing what they have submitted in writing. We ask them questions. We probe a little bit on the details of their complaint. But this is all part of a kind of almost a grand jury process to decide, is this something that we even have jurisdiction over? And if it is, how are we going to move forward? Who are the major players in this case? So after hearing the complaint from the complainant, we thank them for their time and we dismiss them, and then we meet as a body and talk about the complaint. If we think the complaint has merit,
Oopsie,
we
sorry.
then go into another process whereby we hold a whole new set of hearings with the original complainant and with the people that he or she has accused and any other witnesses that we wish to call as well too. And we hear the original complaint all over again. We hear from the person who is being accused. We hear from witnesses that may have been involved or have some objective of testimony that they would like to give as well too. And only then do we decide if we want to go into a much more public session and hear the complaint in a public hearing for what would then be in effect almost a third hearing of that. Am I missing something, David, or is that pretty much summarizes the process?
I mean, it's been a while since I looked at it. I'm not sure that we actually go into a public hearing of some sort before we make an adverse finding against someone. My understanding was everything is confidential until we actually come to a conclusion that there's been a violation of the ethics code. I'd also add that, everything that the Board of Ethics does is done in conjunction with town council. And we get,
Right.
Guidance from town council to make sure that due process is followed and that everyone has a fair opportunity to present whatever evidence they have for and against the complaint. And then, ultimately we'll make a decision. And if a decision is rendered that's adverse to the person against whom the complaint is, made, we will, that's when I believe everything becomes public. And our prior proceedings would likely become public as well.
I think you're right, David, and I apologize for fogginess on that part on mine.
No, that's all right. I mean,
it's because we have never, as the body, when I've been on this Board of Ethics for a few years, we've never had a case go to that level. It's
Wow.
never really passed that first barrier, so to speak, of jurisdiction. But you're quite right. We do have town council involved, and they keep an eye on us. They keep us moving in the right direction. They suggest questions or things that we might want to consider, and they're very valuable in that regard as well too. And the reason, just to circle back to why are we doing all this in executive session? Why are we, I won't call it, why are we not more open and transparent in this process is until we realize that there is some sort of veracity to the complaint itself. We're always looking to protect anybody who has been accused until we know otherwise, so to speak. Is that a good way of putting it?
Yeah, I think
You don't
so.
want to have people making complaints and airing them in public and having the Board of Ethics be a platform for complaint airing until we've decided whether or not we have any jurisdiction and what the facts of the case are.
It not only protects the person against whom the complaint is made, but also the complainant. If they've made a complaint that, doesn't bear out, that's not great for their reputation in town either, that they've made an allegation that someone has done something unethically and they haven't. So, to the extent there's a finding of I don't want to say not guilty, but, someone didn't violate the ethics code, then everyone walks away and it's nobody's reputation is hurt one way or the other. And I think
Yep.
that's the problem here because or that's the rub because we're a small town. We're 14 square miles, 21,000 people. We all know each other. We all see each other every day. And these are serious allegations that can really affect someone's reputation. So you don't want, an allegation to get out there that hasn't been verified, that hasn't gone through a quasi-judicial process with some degree of due process and a finding made adversely to them before anything becomes public. So I
Exactly.
think that's the whole rationale behind the confidentiality of our procedures.
And if and when our deliberations ever go to that level of actually having a finding, we I believe, share that with the Board of Selectmen or the Board of Education or whoever that, if it's a town employee, whatever department is involved. We have no, we can't get anybody dismissed, suspended, fined. We're just the fact gathering body that puts the evidence together as best we can. If I missed anything, Beth, another attorney. We got too many attorneys on this committee here.
I don't think you missed anything. Yeah, I think you, like, presuming we would have, that we had jurisdiction over something, and we, essentially you kind of would hold a hearing, right? Like privately.
Mhm.
Then wouldn't we write an opinion, like, as to what our conclusion was, and submit that to?
Yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yes.
That's, yeah. I
That
think
would be
that's-
after the second round
Yeah.
of having the hearing.
I
Not
know in
only
the
the
past,
accuser, but the accused.
in the past, the Board of Ethics has actually held full-blown trials with court reporters and witnesses and the whole
Oh.
darn thing. When a serious allegation is made, it's been 20 plus years since that's happened,
Mm-hmm,
but I know it has happened in the past.
Right.
Yeah, I was just thinking of the New Canaan Board of Ethics
Oh, no,
matter.
Bonnie, don't confuse us with other boards of ethics.
No, I
There's
know. I
some
was
crazy
just,
rules out there from various
no, I
towns
know
as
the
well,
rules
too.
that are distinct. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's,
But the other thing that, if there is a complaint, it is held in confidence.
yeah.
We're not allowed to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
We certainly don't publicize it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why often, we go about doing our work and it's never really visible. I mean, I think last year when I stood for election to the Board of Ethics, I pointed out that, a re-election, we had handled 2 cases that year and nobody knew about it because we didn't think that we had jurisdiction on those cases.
Mm-hmm.
And even though those cases were, so in fact, dismissed,
Mm-hmm.
we still don't talk about them. We still don't talk about them because that's the level of confidence that we want to have people. If they step forward and they offer, or they file a complaint, they go through the process. We want to respect their confidentiality as well as those who they have made accusations against.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments or anything else you want to say about our process before we wrap up? Often we don't meet very much at all, and we don't have a regular meeting schedule because we only meet if we have a complaint or other important business that would come up, and that would be a public meeting as well too. So
Yeah.
Again, I would just direct anybody that's curious about how to file a complaint or what the process is, go to the town website, just search for Board of Ethics. The page has been updated. It's got good information. All the forms are there, etc. If you have a question, you can certainly approach either me or other members of the Board of Ethics, but we're probably going to suggest you do the same thing. Go through the process, look at the complaint page, because we don't want to disappoint you by filing a complaint over which it is very clear with a modicum of research, we have no jurisdiction. There's not much we can do. And it may be cathartic for you, but not productive use of the valuable time of the other members of this Board of Ethics as well, too.
Well, I would encourage anyone who's interested in filing a complaint to look at the Code of Ethics of this town because it is very limited and essentially embodies conflicts of interest, using your town position for personal gain, and almost any other sort of quote unquote ethical violation would generally not be covered by our Code of Ethics.
That's right. That's right.
Yep.
This being a special meeting and I see no members of the public available for public comment, I will call for a motion to adjourn unless I have missed something on our busy agenda here.
So moved.
Jan
Second.
moves. Do I hear Beth as a second?
Yes.
All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Thank you very much for your
Okay.
time and attention this evening.
Thank you,
Okay.
Jim.
Bye,
And
guys.
have a good
Thank
night.
you.
All
Bye,
right,
Brett.
thank you.
Okay.
All right.
You're
Bye.
welcome.
Bye-bye.